I get an order for 5 million Kenya shillings. This is 1992, and I travel to Japan. I arrive in Tokyo, and I go to the place called Osaka by Shinkansen. I arrive 8 minutes late. And getting there on 8 minutes late, the departmental store president asks the team that I got there to be upstanding and to leave the room. And I wonder what happened. And he tells me, thank you very much. You and me, good friends, okay. Business, dame. When a Japanese shows you dame, it means not possible. It comes this way, or this way, or this way. And they say, it's over. Naenda kwa reception, napata bill ya 12 pages. What is this? Naniambia where? I say, you drinking, okay? Chapa zote zenye umemake yote kwisha. Kimeumana. There are times that your supplier will meet with the institution that you're supplying goods, and they find that you bought an item for 50,000 and you are selling to them at 850 because umeongeza maneno juu ya supplier product, and you cannot lose because you're selling for 800,000 and you bought it for 50,000 or 100,000. You must be able to justify that this is the real product. Sio kudanganyana, useme ukweli. Kwani ujanjes unajaribu mpaka inafika mwisho. Kuna ujanja nishawahi kujaribu. Kwanza wamekutana wote wawili na umepatikana umelalia miguu ya mmoja, yes, na wa pili amekuja. Na sasa lazima uintroduce huyu ni nani na huyu ni nani. So mmoja namuita Her Majesty na huyu mwingine na kimeumana. You must be able to sober up when things are bad. And that is what life calls us to be.
Conversation moto sana wadau, lakini kabla tuzame ndani, I wonder what someone your age or mine living in the year 1900 would say if they experienced the kind of convenience we have today. I would think about it, from transport, communication, and even movement of money. Life may change dramatically. Nilikuwa na check out how much time it took on average to send money from one person to another in the year 1900. And depending on where the sender and the receiver were located, it could take anywhere from a few hours to several weeks. Kitu kama kutuma pesa ilikuwa process manzi. In today's world, umei promise mtu utamtumia kakitu, alafu mwambie chill kiasi. Squeezy chill kiasi kuna grace period ya kama 20 minutes mazi, depending on a few factors of course. Lakini mwaka kama 1900, imagine chill kiasi ingekuwa hata miezi kadhaa. What if ni emergency? Now technology has made it possible for us to send money across borders fast, thanks to a platform like the SendWave wallet. You not only get to hold your money, you also get to send money to over 111 countries safely, securely, and fast. Alafu currency hapa ni USDC. USDC ni digital dollars. That is, 1 USDC is equal to $1 US. And now that you're alive in 2026, live like you're actually in 2026. Move na speed ya pesa by getting yourself a SendWave wallet. Kupata SendWave wallet ni rahisi sana. Use the link tumekuwekea kwa description ya hii video, na procedure ni easy sana. Verification ya documents za identification kama ID ama passport na biometrics, and you're in. Alafu remember, kuna bonus ya new signing. During this promo period, utapata $3 cash reward on your first $10 deposit ukisign up using our promo code WADAU. Na bado the SendWave wallet iko na refer a friend feature that allows you to earn a bonus if you invite your friend using your own promo code. Now that nisha kuplug, tunaweza zama kwa conversation. Asante sana wadau. This is we'll open this episode with very strong words. Just before to start, this is possibly one of the best episodes we've ever done, and this conversation will prove me right. So now we start with a book, Green for Life. Kitabu kubwa sana, but I'll say something about this book. If you've ever struggled to get recruited into the reading culture, you should start with this book. The size may scare some people, but the content in this book, this is one of the best movies yet to be written. Ni kitabu ya our guest for this episode, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. Na ukisoma hii kitabu, iko na themes very, very interesting that complement some of the conversations we've ever done on this episode and some that we've not yet done. And I'll start also by making another bold claim, and it's a disclaimer. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to cover the content that I feel that we should actually share with you on this episode. So I apologize in advance kwa sababu ni good vibes on good vibes. So without further ado, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, karibu sana.
Dr. Kingori, thank you for having me.
Karibu sana.
I say, wewe na wadau wako ni wale wase.
Asante.
Thank you so much.
Imefika straight.
Ndio hiyo sasa, asante.
Asante sana. Unajua, nimesoma hii kitabu, and I have to say, I mean it, we don't have enough time, because one of the struggles I've had ni tutaanzia wapi. Most people in this country wanasemanga umefika mwisho. Maisha ni up and down. I don't think I've seen a better example ya ups and downs. Imeandikwa from brokenness to boldness. Ni ukweli, from brokenness to boldness, okay? And there are certain things, so I decided to segment it in ways that will help us go through it pole, because kama ni umaskini, you have seen it. Kwanza, before we get on set, you described poverty. Ukasema, umeiona umaskini yenye unaweza shika na mkono hivi. Just give us a highlight.
It can never get worse. I think I have seen it. Ukisema umaskini unashika kwa hewa.
Yes.
Mimi na my dad.
Yes.
Tunapika chakula Githurai. Hapo 45 kuangala mwendo hiyo area.
Yes.
Na mkebe ya cowboy ya 2 kgs.
Yes.
Umeshika na ile waya ya sijui inaitwaje, kamata.
Yes.
Mnapika na kuni.
Yes.
Na ndio unafundishwa skills zingine you can never learn them from any school. That's how I got to know that unapika kwanza mboga ndio upike ugali, sababu sufuria ni moja.
Yes.
Na ukianza na ugali huwezi kuosha mpaka ikuwe safi na upike mboga.
So ufuate procedure. Life
has got so many challenges. So I have passed through that.
Okay.
And yes, it is possible to move from brokenness to boldness, because it's a matter of principle.
Yes,
and how you can attach this.
100%.
Yes.
And I think your dad is a good place to start.
Yes.
And you open with a very interesting principle, and that I observed. Your dad was a prison warden. Yes. Okay? And before I know the weight of what that means, he never interacted with prisoners because he was assigned to gardening.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
In his assignment to gardening, hiyo ya gardening, through the ups and downs, like he could have complained, angesema, like, nili sign up kuchunga wafungwa, sio kuchunga mimea. But somehow,
my dad, yes, somehow,
hiyo mimea ilimpeleka State House. Just to give context, kwa hierarchy ya people who serve in the disciplined forces, the president is the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
Right? Your father was a constable, no promotion, years on end, tending to plants. But in the area of assignment, ya plants, he gets to work directly for the commander-in-chief.
So this is, my dad, God rests his soul in peace, exemplified consistency. And actually you realize, and you come to appreciate looking at his life, Dr. Kingori, later, you realize if you're consistent in doing something, doing it right in the best way possible, to get you places. Yes, he did interact with inmates because he was working with them, but his business was was to tender plants, was to deal with everything to do with gardening in the prison service. He was so efficient, he would be required from one prison to another. And you realize that as he did that, he moved us. He moved me and my brother John, because those were the ones who were born at different times and places. He moved from Nairobi West Prison to Prison Staff Training College in Lang'ata. He moved to Kamiti Prison. He moved to Nakuru Prison. He moved to Kitui Prison. He came back to Nairobi. Different places across the country. And what did that mean? Every year, because of his efficiency in serving and gardening and making presentations of what every prison's service would want, we had to move to different schools. I moved to 7 different schools for my primary school, which meant a year for each school, for each class, as I did. Because of his focus on everything else, it did not matter what he wanted to do. He then would move into preparing the National Agricultural Society of Kenya show. And Prison's Service stand was the best ever in terms of the beauty, presentation of what everything was being, how it was being done. And it is there, out of one place, just one time that he left and he did not work at the showground. The president noticed that there is something that is amiss. And that was the president then, President Moi. And he asked, where is the Mukamba ule alikuwa akifanya kazi ya maua hapa? And he was actually promoted time and again. By the time he was leaving prisons, he was a senior sergeant. And he's told, he left, he retired. And his reasons for retire was to go and start business, to be able to sell plants and be able to advance so that his children can be able to advance in life. I remember at one stage we were staggered, so that when I finished Form 4, my brother would come into Form 1 and the rest would follow in that order, because he could not sustain at that time to get to school. But he was very consistent in as far as his work was concerned. And eventually the president is told the guy left and he is now retired, he's at home. He was sent for and called to come and work to tender flowers inside State House. The then controller of State House, Abraham Kiptanui, was referred to whom they had worked with him in prisons before, said that he was available, he could be found. And a gentleman called Gerishon Mwiti, God rest his soul in peace, the husband to Dr. Gladys Mwiti, is the one who was told, go and get the old man who used to tender flowers here. Why he did the best job ever, and now he's not here. So he was called back. And this time, and that is the time, the period that he left prisons and the period he was called to State House, that's the period that we were now cooking in the tin. Trouble. Shida iko kwa hewa, unaweza shika hivi, unaisikia hivi. Yes. And he was called back to come and work in State House, and he was now the superintendent of gardens, state houses and lodges. He used to do the flower for the famous rose flower for the president that was on his lapel. And it talks about consistency of doing what is right, being committed, because we lose it in life and we fail to make money and to do business in the best way possible because we are inconsistent. So it's a good lesson that I learned during that time, and I have always applied it, and I thank God for his life. So from the level that he was just an askari and retired, but keeping on focusing on the right thing that he is focused to do, and eventually he ends up in State House to tender flowers. And when he got into State House, he referred himself as a shamba boy. It did not matter that he was working in State House. He still did a lot and focusing on what he was. State House never got into his head. He was still the same guy, preacher man, and doing what he needed to do. Again, all about consistency.
Fun fact, he actually opened the first church at State House.
Yes.
Your father built the first church
Yes, he did.
in State House.
Very controversial process. You can only read in the book
Yes.
see how difficult it was, because he found that there was no budget to build a church.
Yeah.
And his question was, why would an institution like State House fail to have a church? And driven by the spirit of wanting to do what God would love to do, he built a church using what was easily available. And that was mud and sticks. And he put it together. And the following Sunday, it was full to capacity. People coming to pray together. The small church, of course, full is relative to the people who are working in State House. And he did that. So today, and it had to be brought down, because how would you go building a church here and yet it's not supposed to be there? And you wonder, what is all these people around the president that believe that maybe this is not what is required? And therefore it had to be brought down. But his spirit kept going on. Today there is a church in State House. It doesn't matter what it is that people will talk about. But it's about prayer, it's about committing. Whenever you are doing anything and you don't put God first, you're headed nowhere. That is a fact. So I thank God that even though the church was demolished then, another church was put up. And this time he planted the seed. And the next one was done with iron sheets. And today
you're talking billions.
Church.
Yes.
It's and it's not about the money. It is about having a place of worship. It brings you down to humility, to appreciate that there is a superpower. There is God in heaven. There is where you subject yourself to in life. And therefore, the moment a nation fails to get down to appreciate that there is God, that there is a bigger power that you need to subject yourself to, then you start failing. It doesn't matter what you believe in. There is God in heaven. And therefore, we must be able to do that. And doing good for common good. I think that is what must drive us. And in business, in everything that you must be able to do, is not just things that you concoct in your mind and imagine that you are going somewhere. There must be a principle that sets your compass and direction towards the right thing.
Okay. And when your father retires, he enters into a partnership with someone for a landscaping business, and this person finesses him, right? What lesson do you learn from him as far as the concept of holding on or not giving up is concerned? Because can you imagine that all the years, and it's interesting that you say that, all the years that he had worked on the plans, the president knew that there is someone who is working on these plans. It is until it was not worked on that he notices that something is amiss, right? So this speaks to a very interesting concept here, that if he had continued, he would never have, I love hypothesis, maybe he may not have unlocked the higher potential, right? Does it sometimes call for stopping doing what you do to move to something else so that maybe your work can speak for itself? Because if he had continued, angeendelea na hiyo roho. Okay? So the question here, when to stop, na when not to give up, because when he ventures out to business, ndio mnapika na makimbo. Hapo tuko hapi hapo kwa like not giving up. What do you learn from him hapo?
I take us back to consistency, because it's about what you plan to do and where you're planning to go. In life, you must have a direction. You must have a principle. You must have a philosophy. What drives you? Like I have a green philosophy, which is simple, and you must clarify it so that you see it as it is. Then when I say a green principle, a green philosophy, for me it's simple. It's about kindness. Being kind to one another, being kind to life, being kind to human beings and the environment is beyond else. Second thing is working towards sustainability, so that you're walking about sustainable livelihoods. And the third one is the passionate environmental conservation. Whatever you do to me, I will always bring things to that. And I believe that my father in this principle. How many partnerships do you try, Dr. Kingori, with what you do, the people that you reach, the people who are so passionate with what you do? I dare say that I see a CNN, I see a bigger institution in
Amen.
what you lead. I
Thank
see
you.
we are on the 9th floor of a building. I see a situation where you will have a whole total building with more than 20 floors because
Thank
of
you.
the spirit that is in you.
Thank you.
And
Amen.
when I mention this, I'm saying this also as a prayer to God, because you deserve our best. You deserve God's best.
Thank you.
Why? People get into partnerships that are not well anchored because people do not have principles. People do not have a life philosophy. They're just driven by having money. By the way, the moment you are driven by making a lot of money and that is your goal, you end up getting nothing, or you get it and it gets lost on the other side, because there must be a bigger principle that drives you. You cannot do this program because you want to do a 20-floor building or even a higher. You do it because of the livelihoods that you are transforming. The people who are listening to me, you are putting billions into their minds. I started business at age 19. And today now we are talking of my father, who had nothing that I would carry to my time and age and everything that I do. What I carried is goodwill, his good principles, that when I say that I am a son of so-and-so, oh, the preacher man, you are trusted immediately to that level. So any business, any opportunity to do transformation of livelihoods, my father took it very seriously. It did not matter that the partner who came in to work with him did not believe in what he wanted to do. Maybe they believed in making money, and they would go to the showground and they make a lot of money. They end up not having the money that they planned. There are opportunities, yani unafanya na mtu job alafu unarushwa tu, inakuwa ndio hivyo. Na ulibelieve mtafanya nini, kadil kamoja, something else doesn't happen. What must keep driving us in principle is the bare minimum simple opportunity, which is about doing good for common good and being consistency. We know, Kingori, you've been on it. Were you not the same guy who used to host a program that we used to shock you to joke around with, and it was circus on its and its best, and I remember the audience.
Yes.
10 years later, you're still the same guy doing what you do. What would make you not the richest and the biggest and the most influential person in the continent of Africa? If you are not doing this, if you started what you did and you end up selling nails and cement, that would not be your space. You'd find other companies working out there. So for my dad, to answer your question, it was about consistency and believing in what you do. In life, you get wrong people, good people, fair people,
Yes.
and many other people that you never imagined that they would cross your life. But you must be driven by what makes you better every moment. It doesn't matter, your spirit must keep going so that you can succeed in your mission, and money will follow your mission as you deal with this.
Okay. And probably before we proceed to because your journey in business is, like I said, a movie in itself. The obsession with making your first million and being a millionaire should also be a book by itself. But there's something you touch on about your father, though lightly, but let me make a bold statement on it in my observation. Your father, in his own way, as the Shamba boy, as he would call himself, I would dare say that the topic you passed by lightly to one of the most prominent leaders from Eastern Kenya is Kalonzo Musyoka. Without a good word from your dad in his capacity tending to the plants, this country probably may not have had Kalonzo Musyoka. I'll support this bold statement because it is him that makes the introduction of Kalonzo Musyoka to President Moi. And this introduction in itself is, it signifies, there's no separating the career progression of the former vice president. You cannot separate his career progression from that introduction. All right? And I think this is the first place I interact with the concept of social capital, right? The idea of, like, you may say, like, in his small way, at his time, he did not have something big for you to inherit, for example. But his word carried weight, and you cannot separate that. And that brings us to the idea of social capital, your relationships. What, before tuingie kwa story yako ya biashara na the journey ya number one salesman 001. And again, another fun fact, our guest for this episode, Dr. Isaac, is among the first Kenyans who started importing Japanese vehicles into Kenya. That's again another movie, but hiyo lazima tufikie. What comes to mind when we talk of the concept of social capital?
Appreciate who you are. There is, in this world, don't try to be Dr. Kingori. Be who you are. Mm-hmm. Dr. Kingori will come for you, and you will go for Dr. Kingori. Mm-hmm. People fail. You see, I'm proudly a son of a Shamba boy. And so proud. Mm-hmm. In his Shamba boy status that he has been and was in life, my father would tend flowers. He would, remember, he's the same guy in prisons. He's now in State House. He's preaching his word, the word of God, and doing all these things. The president, he created the first ever in State House, a place called The Retreat. After the pressure of everything that he was out with, the president would turn to that place called The Retreat. That was the creation of my father. He would sit there. It was in between the garden, and it would be a place that he would have discussions, talking to his friends, or just retreating by himself. He would go out there, and there would just be the two of them. One of those sessions of a Shamba boy and a president. It is the president. He tells the president there is a gentleman called Kalonzo Musyoka, and I would like you to meet with him because he is a man from my place, and he's a good guy, he's God-fearing, and he needs to be known to be doing these things. And I'm talking about this because it is a historical fact. And then eventually he makes an appointment because Kalonzo would come to his little office of superintendent of gardens, and this specific time he said, okay, I will try to get a space for you with the big boss. And he was given an appointment from the Shamba, and he met with him, and the rest are details. Today he is what he is and who he is. And I believe the lesson here is having a name, being consistent in what you do. In life, I believe for you to succeed, again, whether in business or anything else, you must tailor your life. And I have coined some words, TLR, yes. Which is trust, trust, loyalty, yes. And responsibility. Mm. You must trust yourself. You must trust your God. You must trust the people that you are with. You must be loyal to God, loyal to yourself, and to the people that are around you. You must be responsible enough to understand that life calls for you to be responsible to all that are around you. Once you appreciate that, the rest becomes easy. You stop being a sycophant. You become the person that you believe that if I speak to Kingori, I'm not talking about myself, because there is nothing that I want about myself here. I want to impact the future. I want to, whoever is listening to me, that there is something that I have added in their life, because I started business at 19. Today, I am the age that I am at right now, going to 57. I want anybody who listens to this should never go through what I went through. Only a fool can repeat a mistake. A mistake you may have done yourself or others. Take advantage of that and be able to change your life. And therefore, that time, it's an opportunity that happened because of a Shamba boy. And the Shamba boy gets up there and introduce someone that he did not know, taking a risk. Again, life is about taking risks, to introduce somebody so that you can be able to move on. And that is a principle that I have seen, that just do good. I love the Muslims. They believe in one thing, tenda wema nenda zako. And it's not just the Muslims. You just do good. Imeandikwa, imeandikwa. The same thing as Christians. We should just do good. Love your neighbor as yourself. And that is a principle that he applied then. And today, as to whether they know or not, it happened. It's a historical fact.
Very nice. So people should learn from the mistakes. And Lord, have you made them? Mistakes. Tunakuja kwa mistakes. But before we go to the mistakes, let me put at par two people at State House. I would like to believe around the same time. We had
Dr. Kingori, you seem to have read this book completely. I thought the discussion was different, but here
advanced. To discuss the mistakes, and we'll leave some of it for people to read the book, because we can't even scratch the surface, but the surface is enough to learn.
Yes.
Let me juxtapose two people in terms of principles at State House around the same time. We had Linjiro on our podcast. He's a former PA to President Moi, PA or pressman. He has a book in it on the president's pressman. And he writes about a bodyguard of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who was Kenyatta's most trusted man. And Linjiro writes that he was the only man the president could give money. The only man, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And he was retained by President Moi because he couldn't retire. And he was retained until he was too frail to work anymore. And then he was retired. And then Linjiro writes that he went to the village, he had nothing. And when he passed on, not even a single person from State House even attended his funeral. And he was so close to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And the thing that comes to mind haraka haraka ni the thing that Kenyans say, you had that much access and you did not enrich yourself. So they would view you as someone who wasted an opportunity. Okay? One person. Then your dad in Moi's time comes and has the same access to the president. You and the president. What stops him from enriching himself?
You have answered the question right there. During the time of my father,
yes,
apart from that kind of introduction, many other kinds of introductions that he did one at a time, he never had one single, those lands that were written that you have been given land here, you have been given this, you have been given none. There is only one in around Masinga that was given out, which was lost in a different way, as I've written in the book. He never amassed the wealth that people would associate with power at that time, becoming multi-billionaires in many ways. Today, he left us. But what is it that I cannot thank God for what he has given me? It is his blessing, his good deeds that follow. I assure you, I do not know that officer that Lee Njiru talked about. And by the way, Linjiro was a very good friend of my father. And when it was time for him to leave State House, I remember our father coming home to tell us that Linjiro told him, enda usimame pale nje ya State House, utaona Mercedes zinapita na hawajui ndani ya State House inakaa namna gani. Meaning there is a lot that is beyond where your short eye-sightedness is seeing and imagining, and that there are many opportunities. I hold a very good name, and I pray for Linjiro and his family to succeed forever because of the base and foundation that he kept and the principles that he kept, even as in writing in his book. Look out for that old man, whether today or future generations, because some of these things we tend to imagine that we are doing to one another, but God is recording. That family will never lack out of what they did. The trust that the former President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had for him, that will return to him in many ways. And please search, go deeper. Don't leave that discussion at that point. Look out for that guy. He is blessed wherever he is. His children are going to be blessed because you never go wrong by doing what is right. We tend to have a move in life that you just want to support. You want to get rich quickly to be able to succeed in many ways. That is not the way. There is a secret in just doing good for common good, for God's glory, and you end up doing what is right. And in business, it is also the same principle. We want to get rich very quick and forget what needs to be done, the dream, the vision. We during Kenyatta's time and slightly earlier, we had 10 million people. Today, we have 67 million. The need that was there is 6 times more today because of the number of people. What business am I doing and where is it going to go? How many people? The fact that fewer people, you are selling 200 motorcycles. Today, I am the chairperson of Honda in Kenya. We started by doing 20 motorcycles or even 10 motorcycles. Our dealers would sit there and wait for a buyer and fail to get any buyer. But are we not the same institution that has sold 1 million units plus today? Are we not part of that economy that has changed and transformed this nation? Why? Patience. The idea of getting rich quick has messed many people's lives. They have broken dreams that were going to be so humongous in the way that they are. But we fail to have that patience, which is a virtue that we must be able to apply in many ways. People want to copy the others because Kingori is doing a podcast. You find every other person in the media industry. They don't know that there was a show. What was the name of this show?
The Wicked Edition.
The Wicked Edition. And it sounds so funny that even Kingori is wicked. How can he be thinking about this thing? But see where the wickedness has taken him today. I'm seated here. I have driven very many kilometers to be here with you in this show because it's a great honor to be here. And because you're touching many people's lives. And therefore, that is what we need to apply and is a principle in business that must work for us.
Thank you for saying that. And thank you for the kind words and the compliments.
You deserve them.
Asante. Yeah. So now, there is something my friend and I arrived at as a conclusion. My friend, an advocate, people know him, anaitwa Senior Counsel Otieno Mukaya. We arrived at a conclusion that possibly getting money, too much money at a young age could be some sort of a curse. And that theme also popped up somewhere in this book because I remember the first time you board a plane. You boarded there and you find this lady, old lady amekaa hapo. You already identify as a businessman. Now there's a blanket on the seat and you're like, yo, bana, take your blanket, nini. And there is that aura, I'm a businessman. In fact, when I think she either signaled you ama alikuongelesha kidogo and your nini was I'm a businessman, I'm going to Japan bara nini akakwambia okay sawa pole, the blanket is yours, it is for you during the flight. And you can see there's something money does to someone, a lot of it at a certain age. Is that true?
It is very true. And again, that is why I write the book. It is actually a life manual. Because it brings out what is most transformative in life. And I will go back to the main thing before I now answer your question. One, it talks about MPR. Make as many mistakes. M stands for mistakes. Make as many mistakes as you can. Enjoy making mistakes. Pay if you have to pay to make a mistake, but never repeat one. In the same trip that you're talking about in life, when I was traveling to Japan, I made so many mistakes. The first one was that one. I'm now rich. I had a business card that was written Managing Director, Kipkal Investments. And therefore, I wanted to behave like Managing Director. The way Titus Naikuni then would look like, tall and, a guy that you really want. I want to behave the same manner, not knowing that there is a bit of experience that is always needed for this. I get on plane, find it's the first time I'm getting on a plane, and I'm here headed to Japan. Then I think I was 21 years old, and I'm headed to Japan. I get to Japan, get into a hotel, nimepata closet kama kakanoma. Kakona drinks, I said, na unajua nilikuwa napiga Masmanoff, vitu zingine, Johnny Walker, hizo vitu za aina hiyo, but sasa nimeenda nimepata my 18-year-old, man 23-year-old, 25, vitu. Vitu. The inside that
keyword vitu.
But ndio hiyo sasa. Nararua bwana. Nobody had told me that these things ukipata huko kuna vitu zenye unapasa kusoma. And then I rushed to the room and finished business mapema sana. Ndio nikimbie kwa room because I found that they already replenished. So I do that for 7 good days. 7.
Yes.
Naenda kwa reception, napata bill ya 12 pages. What is this? Ananiambia where? I say, you drinking, okay? Chapa zote zenye umemake yote kwisha. Because of naivety. Because of not knowing how things are done. My mistake was not drinking. Because drinking, there are people who drink and they are careful and they are responsible.
Yes.
That is not necessarily the issue. The issue is not reading instructions. Not reading instructions is the lesson. And therefore, when you're doing business, when you're doing things, you must ask yourself, what is the lesson that I must learn in this? And therefore, the MPR tool that I talk about in this book is something that every single day, Kingori, you make a minimum of 5 mistakes. Minimum. Whether it is the alarm that you set in the morning and you're the same one that is putting it off, that's a mistake. Whether it is arriving late, yet in 1992, I got late for 8 minutes. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. And I found that the biggest departmental store, even with my 5 million order that I was going to get as the sample order, and therefore the following order was going to be in terms of containers in the entire Japan, I got late for 8 minutes. Today, I value a watch so much. There is nothing I cannot pay for a watch, not because I want to show off, but just to remind myself about time.
Please give us a background of that, because someone watching is wondering, tunaenda na gaps. That's a very important lesson right there. What happens hii siku ya 8 minutes?
So I get an order, and I'm still answering your question, because life is interconnected with so many things that you must be able to understand, but you must have an anchoring an anchoring tool that drives you. So I'm now talking about mistakes, making as many but never repeating one. And therefore, I get an order for 5 million Kenya shillings. This is 1992, and I travel to Japan. I arrive in Tokyo, and I go to the place called Osaka by Shinkansen. I arrive 8 minutes late. And getting there on 8 minutes late, the departmental store president asks the team that I got there to be upstanding and to leave the room. And I wonder what happened. And he tells me, thank you very much. You and me, good friends, okay. Business, dame. When a Japanese shows you dame, it means not possible. It comes this way, or this way, or this way. And they say, it's over. I thought it was a joke, Dr. Kingori. And 5 million out of the window in a foreign country, gone, lost, because of 8 minutes. I was telling you about the watch. If any business person, anyone doing, whether you are selling gouache, or you are selling doma, or you are selling cars and anything, the moment you do not respect time, you're gone. I learned it the hard way. You don't have to lose an order for 5 million then. Today we are talking of hundreds of millions of Kenya shillings. If you don't respect time, don't wait for anyone to tell you that you are cursed or umerogwa ama umefanya nini, wewe mwenyewe umejiroga. Just because you love the sleep and you did not know what to do as at that time. In life there are 5 mistakes. Every single day you must have a mental torture. A mental note. You must have a notebook. What mistake did I do today? And that becomes the answer to you advancing to the next level. Every day must be a route towards your dream in the way that you have planned it. And therefore, letting you know and letting our people understand that life is making mistakes, avoiding mistakes. We talked about the P. And feel free to ask this. P is being a problem solver. And I'm sure we are going to discuss some of these things as we continue. Every single day, you have problems that you're solving. And in the book, and I have always found it to be a principle that must be applied every day, problem solving has got 4 different categories. And I use the example of a wedding party or a place where you are in a garden party. In a garden, snakes are normal. A snake appears. And 50% of the people in that gathering ran away so fast, not because they saw the snake, but just the screams and the imagination. Why are people? And you ask them 300 meters away, kwa nini unakimbia? The person doesn't have shoes, they don't have handbags, they don't have anything. Nafikiri dunia imeisha. Mimi nimekimbia. They only had the commotion and they ran. 50%.
Yes.
So that you don't ask the principles why I'm not making money, why I'm not succeeding. You just ran because you were told, hii kazi ni ngumu, siwezi nikadili nayo, inakaa ngumu balaa sana. Ayeyeye, unasoma gazeti ama social media, ati huyu alichoma shilingi sijui ngapi, huyu alikutana na auctioneer, huyu alifanya nini, unakimbia unasema, woi, wacha niwachane nayo. You ran away like the person in a garden wedding. 50%. The second lot is a very interesting lot. They actually see the snake and then they just run 50 meters away and they start talking. Akia nani hiyo kitu niliona ikitoka kwa mfuko ya Kingori. Akia nani niliona. Mimi nakuambianga hii kitu ni majini, hakuna kitu ingine inakuanga huko. Wanaongeanga tu hizo vitu. And they are talking until the cows come home. They are solving the problem by talking. The first one ran away. At least these ones are better. They are talking about. They are 25%
yes.
of these people. What is this that in business that You see, you don't analyze, you don't get into getting to know the details. You do not have people in friends, in Facebook, in social media that are doing the same business that you're doing. And therefore, when you just hear about it, you start talking about your things without referring to what they are talking about. And therefore, you lose the opportunity, the vision that you had by just talking about it without any basis. The third one is a 10% group. They see the snake and they rush to the phone immediately. Snake at a garden party. What can I do? Wameenda kwa ChatGPT ama Cloud ama wameenda kwa Google. Yes. Wanatafuta what to do. They are better because they are researching. But they are only 10% of this. So imagine sasa umebakisha percentage gani ya watu wenye wamebaki. Which is the final one that I talk about being a problem solver. Because we are talking about the P. They use whatever is there. If it is a bottle like this, they will use it to hit the snake on the head. Or if they turn to be as crazy as I am, they will tie it up or put it inside a bag and take it to KWS. Not just because I'm a honorary warden, but because that is the right thing to do. How many people in life choose to deal with issues head on? For you to be here today, Kingori, Daktari, you must have gone through so many challenges. You are told, oh, unalipa hiyo rent, unaanza na hiyo kwanza, umelipa ya nini ndio ukatoboa. Wewe usare hiyo. Anzia huko nyumbani sijui geshagi wapi. There are places that you can't call some people to come and listen to what. There are people who can't take you seriously just because of having this kind of a mic or another one because they can do. There reaches a time when problem solving must be very practical. This is what takes your business to the next level. If so and so did it and managed, why not me? If this, meeting it head on. And that is what makes a business successful. Every single day, you have 5 problems to solve. 5 minimum. That mental note, what is it that I have noted and I have solved? There are things that you get into a room and you find that there is no AC and the air circulation is not right. Na mtu moja tu akiingia unaona anaenda kufungua dirisha anafungua. That's a problem solved. A cable that's not working and anaenda anatengeneza anafanya nini? What is it that you are doing for your business, for your life, for your family, for anything? 5 every single day. Everyone has that. Do you take note? The R, which is being a respecter of persons. And there are many opportunities that you have. I give an example of a stinking guy who was doing construction in our home, and he had a history of the house that we had bought that we needed to correct. And he tells me, hii nyumba ilikuwa ya mtu ambaye alikuwa na shortcuts, alikuwa jamaa anafanya na jeshi or something, and he did not do it right. And if you continue the way it is, itakuja kuangukia watoto wako. And the question is, okay, how is that possible? That a stinking guy, people wenye hawajawai aogangi, akona wiki 3 hajaoga, akifanya hivi tu kidogo hivi, inzi zinachomoka. And he's the guy who's giving us a solution, because a very close friend of mine that you will see in the book helped me to get the house. His name is David Langat, and he brings it out in a way that bring out the engineer, come and check what is all this. And he says, yes, the structural process of this house fell. Who told me this? A stinking guy. Every single day, Kingori, you have an opportunity to be so kind and respect other people. 5 people. Just the askari that you smile with at the entrance, your accountant, your employees, your team members. That smile will solve out your problems. There are times that even the Google doesn't know where you're going. They tell you you've arrived and there is nothing arrival-like. And a guy comes smoking everything that can ever be smoked, and he tells you the direction is this one and you could be killed from here. 5 people. In the same way God has blessed you, King Ori, he has also blessed others. Never despise anyone. These principles in life, I find them so practical that you can take them on in every application and at its best. Having a principle of knowing what is it that I want to achieve in life. I wear something green every single day of my life. Why? Just to remind me. You think you are going to be reminded, you are going to see me. I've not worn it for you. It's my principle. Okay, you love it, and I can see you have a green shirt on you. And maybe it's just a color, but for me, I put it on to remind myself about kindness, about sustainable livelihoods, about passionate environmental conservation. Consistency, that people can be able, and anything that I see, I apply MPR because I want to be able to take on anything head on to solve the problem. And our life is green. How is it that everything that you can bring it forward to get into that principle? These are the principles that I believe can help us to achieve. I don't know whether I answer your question, because a lot of young people today, they want to get rich very quickly. I have demonstrated in life that you can make money. You can buy a Mercedes-Benz as I bought one, KAS 988J, E200, out of planting and growing seedlings, just because I was serious. And I told my wife that this is what we are doing. It's not because I want a Mercedes, because I want to show the youth how you can be able to do this kind of a thing, and that you can make money out of where you don't expect people to make. That little business can buy Mercedes, can build a house, can do something extraordinary if you focus and you be consistent about it. I have done it umpteenth times. I no longer drive the big cars that were there. I drive little doodles, and they take me where I'm going. And I use 2 shillings per kilometer when it is electric. And you are spending 2,000 because you want to be seen a big guy and a big car, or you are competing with a big car when other people are buying the big car to save money on tax, and you are going to borrow to buy a big car so that you can be seen with a car. What drives you?
Other people are buying the big car to save money on tax.
Yes.
But you're buying the big car
to be seen.
And because you think the big person has bought the big car,
yes,
because of money or to show money.
Yes.
It's actually to save money.
To save money. And you're buying for the opposite reason. You must be driven by something. What is it that is making you do the things that, because in life you must ask yourself the why, the big question. Why am I doing this?
Just to put this into perspective, when someone goes and buys, just so that people get this clearly.
Yes.
When someone has 10 million
yes,
to buy a car,
yes,
they go buy the Prado
yes,
for 10 million.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
The duty is almost 40%.
Yes.
Say, or more taxes. Let's say 50%. 5 million goes to taxes. When they are doing their books, they claim back the 5 million.
Yes.
That's how they save money.
Yes.
So you go borrow from a bank to buy, pay interest on taxes.
Yes. And not only that, you have done your very good business of this business of media, and your profit is 100 million at the end of the year, or much, much more, or even less. When you go and buy a car, it is an expense that is allowable in the laws and tax procedure, and therefore it is an expense for the business. And therefore you save your money. Instead of paying tax of so much, you buy a car and you reduce your money, and you already have a car because your business needs a car. There are people in this country who have planes because they were saving expenses to move from one place to another to inspect their business. They bought a plane to save money from taxes. And you are borrowing a car so that you can pay out of the processes instead of saving taxes. It's simple. You're declaring what
different worlds, different
totally
worlds.
different worlds. Just because, and it's all in the Green for Life. You can be able to understand this.
Manual for life. Grab yourself a copy. Tunasemanga. We leave a link in the description of this video that takes you directly to the Nuria store, to this book. You can order it and they will deliver to any part of the country. So this thread starts from getting a certain amount of money at a young age is some form of a curse. And now I'll put it in context again. If you had, by whatever reason, arrived 10 minutes early for the meeting in Japan, and you got the gig for 5 million at the time when this was happening, you are very young. I believe this is in your early 20s, right?
Yes.
So there's a phrase, because Mimi, having read this story, I know who you are in those ages, ban. Bana nyi hakuna kitu mnajua ban. So now there's a phrase that says, at sometimes God withholds some blessings from you because he knows what they will do to you. Do you think this is what's happening in your life then? Because you at that age, in your early 20s, I don't think, kama unafikiria we ni mwild, enda usome kitabu. You with 5 million, kama ni 250,000 ndio Nairobi ilikuwa inasimama. What would have happened to you with 5 million?
There's a lot of drama in the book, and the book is about red. It's called Green for Life, and the principle is red, R-E-D. Responsibility, efficiency, and discipline. These are 3 principles in life that must be able to drive you, and it brings out all this together. Many young people, they would want to buy the best car, they would like to race, they would like to have the best girls. Well, the book talks about girls that I had, many of them, different times, multiple, did everything that a young man can ever do. So if you're trying to do something today, tushafanya.
Nimekubali.
Okay? It talks about it in the best way possible. And lessons that I have learned, that it's all vanity, that you can be able to chase after. It's like chasing after the wind. You can never get to where you need to get to. Life treats you in readiness of where you are headed to and what you want to achieve. And it reaches the time when the 3 come together. The responsibility, you have to be really responsible on what you do and understand that what you are doing is not just, you are not your own. You belong to others and others are depending on you. At least your mother and your father or your uncle, whoever your guardian is depending on you. Efficiency, how you do your things and why, the way you do it and the discipline to handle, then that attracts money. That attracts the responsibility. I started business because I wanted to be a blessing to the people of my community. I would see the women weave bags. I would see young people in Wamunyu create images of the wood carvings, and I wanted to be a blessing to them. That is what drove me to do business. And I did everything, as you will see in the book, the chain of how I got to do that. Takes you to a point that you realize, enyewe, amengojee pesa, wacha yangu ningoje, wacha huyu apate yake, because if I don't get it, it might delay yours. But you have 57, now going to 57 years that you can say, I learned from Kalua Green and I would like to apply and avoid the mistakes that he made so that I can move forward. When your character is being developed, and my friend, my character has been developed proper. I can talk and you may be able to listen because I am talking of real life issues. If you have not gone to that, if you're just imagining in the theoretical way of how life plays, it's different. You just have to go through life in the best way possible.
Our guest, Dr. Isaac, was a bad man upon bad man. There's a place where two girlfriends, let me say, because in context of this time, have met in your house. And I cannot believe the audacity that you left Akianani. You go to your girlfriend mwenye ako kwa gari outside and you negotiate with her to just let you spend the night there that day because it is your last day. Like, that is audacity on audacity. Like, Malia, as in, it's unimaginable. Like, the comedy of that scene, like, it's not, see, I'm not apologizing. So you just let me spend the night here today. Just this is the last day. This is our last day together. We'll break up. We will catch up.
Bas. Ujanjes. Unajaribu mpaka inafika. Hakuna ujanja nishawahi kujaribu. Kwanza wamekutana wote wawili na umepatikana umelalia miguu ya mmoja.
Yes.
Na wa pili amekuja. Na sasa lazima uintroduce huyu ni nani na huyu ni nani. So mmoja namuita Her Majesty na huyu mwingine na kimeumana. You must be able to sober up when things are bad. And that is what life calls us to be. Situation umepatana nayo utajikojolea ama uta deal na situation. You must be able to deal with the situation. And I write this so that people can understand some things are real. You know, in life we keep hiding. That iko maisha inakuanga hivi na kilipatikana hivi. When we don't tell our children that this happened, when will they ever know? When you don't bring a guest like me who is talking about real stuff, how life has treated me, how will they get better in doing business in the way that they should do business? Kimeumana. There are times that your supplier will meet with the institution that you're supplying goods, and they find that you bought an item for 50,000 and you are selling to them at 850 because umeongeza maneno juu ya supplier product, and you cannot lose because you're selling for 800,000 and you bought it for 50,000 or 100,000. You must be able to justify that this is the real product. Sio kudanganyana, useme ukweli. Kwani na unakaza macho ikiwa wazi. Because this is the situation and you've been found. Being found by two women in real life is the same way you are found doing business with the right principles, and that teaches you. Don't move from 50,000 to 850 because that scenery will be terrible. Bring it down to a manageable level so that you can become friends with this other person and be serious about it.
Justify the value you're offering.
Justify the value that you're offering. Business is like that. Do you think that everyone who is out there doing business, they just walked into an opportunity and they made a kill? It's a process of consistency. Life, business, and every way you manage life must be managed in a manner that you can stand and explain. I was in a relationship and I was in a different relationship, and I was a young man and I was trying to make life and ends meet. How do I bring myself out? There are 4 situations: run away and leave them in the house to fight, let them talk, deal with the situation and they sort themselves out, they become
problem
friends
solver.
or look out in the cloud or in chat GPT how I can solve the problem.
Yes.
I had to solve the problem, and the problem was to say, guys, here I am, and this is the situation. Life calls for that action.
Yes. Yeah. So now, so much to unpack from what you've just said. Kuna principles of business hapo ya justifying value. That's solid. But again, kuna around this period, you also learn something very interesting. You could travel abroad. And I'm also curious about your eye for opportunity at that age. Like, you see the basket weavers, and how it becomes an opportunity to export. That's very eye-opening in terms of identification of opportunity. But in this same period, you learn something very deep, that you can go and sell products, make 300,000 Kenya shillings. You spend all that money because because you've paid the suppliers, yes, but you come back and do the mathematics and find out how unsustainable it is, because you break the money down and spread it across the year, and you find that it's actually less than your salary. What do people need to learn from Harper in terms of lump sums and how to deal with money? Now, as we qualify hii kitu ya money at a certain age can be a disaster.
Numbers are very important for any business. Numbers, Dr. Kingori. You must appreciate how many people watch my program.
Mm-hmm.
How do people spend time? When they are not watching my program, what is it that they are doing in any other place? In my case, a basket. And you remember that I was part of the team that fought plastics in Kenya because of number of bags. Why? It's not just because of the environment. It is because it is also an opportunity for the people to make money. Because baskets that are sustainable will be able to replace the livelihoods of many people in the way they produce, as opposed to a machine that has been brought from overseas to come and do business that can be done by our people. How do you create that? Mm-hmm. There is no business that can ever succeed if you do not deal with numbers in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
How much, when you hold this water, is how much water does a human being need in life? Where do they get the water from? There are some that get it from the pond directly. There are some that can afford to buy a bottle. There are some that can buy sparkling water and water that is distilled or natural, pure natural water. And there are some that can even survive with any kind of water because they can get it even from the rain and all that. What is my market share that I'm working on? Business is about market share.
Mm-hmm.
If the number is 1 million liters per day, you must be able to calculate what is the target of my business, because otherwise every business will be business. You must be able to understand, where can I get? Do I pack it in glass? How many people will need glass water? Because every other person, any business they are thinking about is packaging water. What would be the business that I can get if I targeted a specific number? What is it that I can do if I changed the brand of the water to become such water? What treatment do I need in the machine, in my distilling plant, that would add the taste of the water? What is the story that I can give about the water so that somebody touching the bottle like this is Dr. Kingori. This is not water. This is water from Dr. Kingori. For that Dr. Kingori story, I will pay an additional 20 shillings because you targeted. And you keep marketing. You keep looking at your market share. It doesn't matter that it is 0.0000001%, but that is your start. What is the difference? And how am I getting to these people? Am I marketing my water in weddings? And therefore, it must become my process to understand who is about to marry. Where is the wedding? Not by looking online, that could be one. But can I check what is the system to get these people? What is the network that I can use that will be able to take me to where people are buying water? For what purpose? Why? Which hotel can I go? Do I go to Mercury? Do I go to this hotel? Are they making water? Why do they make water? What is the unreliable processes? What is the government tax in all this? Numbers. How many people can I have so that I can sell a story? Because water is life. and life is my business, and my business is to transform people's lives. You must be able to take life at a level that everything you must watch critically. That is what green is about. There is no business. I mean, I went in 2000, and in 1991, I was in Japan. I made all the money. I squandered it because I did not know about staying in the hotel and not knowing that the drinks would be paid. I lost the money. What lesson did I learn out of that? The following year, I was in Taichung, Korea. I made money. I took it to a different level. I trusted people. There was mistrust. I lost money. The following year, I was back in Japan. I lost 5 million order in 1992 because I did not calculate what needed to be done, including time. There are many aspects. How much risk are you dealing with? You could do your good water. You have not done your insurance in transporting this. The truck gets an accident, it gets into a flood, and you have lost the business. How are we managing the risk of our business? Waking up, finding money in the account is not enough. Which bank are you working with? Does it understand your vision? The bank is not just to receive money and to keep money or to give you money because you have written a check. It is their responsibility as a financial advisor on how you can grow your business. Are you engaging your bank to tell them that the money you see in my account needs to be supportive of what I want to do? How can I do? They will tell you, put this in fixed deposit here. We will guide you. There is something that is called Know Your Customer, KYC. What is it that you are there? They're not just coming to confirm your residence or your office where it is. No, it is understanding the need of your customer. How much time are you taking so seriously to make the institution in the bank to understand what you're doing so that they can be of help? You need so many people to support your business. Just doing business will take you very far. And you may not need any other business because the water will take you where you wanted to be, because that is what life takes you. So numbers, and that is what you learn out of my story, that I made a mistake here and I can be able to correct it here, and I can be able, there may be a line that you don't need a glass bottle, because this is for the Kingoris in their big space. I need water in plastic, paper, as cheapest as possible, because your market is different, your segment is different. There are people who just want the water because the bottle is shining, and then you pay more about that. What is it the world is doing? Today there is the AI. How are you using it to advance the opportunities? What is in the name of the business that you are doing? What project are you attached with in life? I'm just talking about that. So it's about numbers. Everything, the importance of numbers, even when they don't make sense. How much water is lost? Why is it lost? Just talk about water. By talking about that lost water that is there, you're talking about selling your thing because your passion is in business. Many people fail to succeed in business because they failed to focus on the numbers around their business, the opportunities that they have. Because that, when you wake up, when you sleep, when you're talking, when you're walking, directs you to what you need to achieve in life. So to answer your question, is about numbers, is about being focused on what you want to achieve, and make sure that your goal is well defined, so that when people are seeing you, they see Kingori is that media guy, from the wicked edition to what it is today, so that they can be able to succeed. That if I want to get 1 million people, I will not go to start my podcast. I will partner with Kingori, because I will get my 1 million people and they will get to know my story. And I will support Kingori because that is the right thing, because I can be able to do that. Many businesses fail today because people want to start what somebody else started, instead of conjoining and dealing in the best way possible that you can be able to do in business.
Solid. You also have an ironclad, if I can describe it as that, an ironclad self-esteem. Your relationship with rejection is special. And you write about it in very many contexts and very many, as in very many ways. But when I look at your story and how you deal with rejection and confidence, one of my highlights is where you talk about you don't know where the next gig is coming from. You have dealt with disappointment and you have a special relationship with disappointment in your earlier years. You've almost given up, and I think the statement that pokes you kabisa is when your wife asked, compared you to other men, what other men are doing. But you say at some point you would just chill and you would wake up, go to your office, but you look nice. Lazima upige look. And when I read that, I was like, sasa hii ndio Nairobi. Like
I say Nairobi inaweza kukuchonga. Nairobi.
Nairobi inakuchonga.
Nairobi inakuchonga. Unajua Nairobi ni wapi wewe? Nairobi ni mahali wale wasee wanaingia, au unafika kwa nyumba unapata mlango ilichomolewa. Unajua you are talking about notice. In this city kuna wasee wanaingia kwa nyumba daktari. Wanapata mlango ilingolewa ikakelewa juu ya nyumba hapo. I had this story, I could not believe it. A guy told me that, my landlord, he used to live in Mukuru kwa Njenga. And he tells me that, I say, mimi huenda kuoga, tunaogeanga nje. Unaogeanga kwanza kichwa ndani ya nyumba, alafu namuuliza, why? Sababu ukijaribu kuogea nje, saa ile umejipaka sabuni kwa macho, karai imehama na maji imehama, because both are very important commodities. Hiyo ndio Nairo. Kanairo kanachonganga wase.
Yes.
Unapita unakuta saa zile hiyo hakuna matope umemwagiwa, hakuna nyumba hujalipa, hao boss amechelewesha mshahara, nini imefanyika? Yani unachongwa, unachongeka. But one thing that I believe, and I have always believed and I have demonstrated in the book, just be yourself. Appreciate that the situation that you are in today is your situation and it's not going to be permanent. In Kikao, we say they now wake akwili tiandoa. Trouble only makes you muddy and, in a situation that is unmanageable, but it doesn't kill you. The moment you appreciate that, you become very easy to deal with. And it's not about what other people are telling you about. It is about you yourself. Okay. How you believe yourself from internally. So kungara, unapiga luku. Mimi nilikuwa nainua mpaka briefcase bwana, unatembea na mguu kilomita 6 kutoka Doni, kutoka mahali inaitwa sehemu za Islands.
Yes.
Kutoka huko unaingia mpaka Tao, hauna kitu, na unarudi kwa bibi yako unamwambia umerudi. Na unajua ni kubaya. Na hakuna vile, my father told me kuna kitu yenye huwezi fanya kama ukiwa mwanaume. Usiwahi kusema kitu haiwezekani. Usiwahi kujipata. Because you can make a mistake of saying that this is not possible in front of your wife. Na yeye anajua wewe ndio mwisho ya dunia. Alafu useme, utakupata tu amededi. Because you are the hope of the family. So you must keep hope alive at any moment. Piga suti yangu na beba briefcase yangu na ingia Tao. Na cheki tu naangalia tu opportunities zinaweza kuchomoka tu mahali. Lakini hakuna wana umerudi. Wiki nzima umerudi. Lakini bado uko pale. So that is one of the lowest things that I always laugh with my wife.
When uko na low moments zote. Uko na low moments zote. But then it begs the question, una sink and then something pops up.
Yes.
Which begs the question, when you for the opportunities that you burned, let's say for example, you go to South Korea, you make money. You go to Japan, you make money the first time. And if, for example, could you have had the relationship you have with money today if it was not for the mistakes you made? Like, is there an alternative rather than the sinkings and the ups and downs? Like, was there another way you could have learned other than from the experiences you've had?
I don't think so, because right now I'm cleverer. The moment you find that you're making money and you don't know where you're taking it for and why you're making the money, then you'll imagine that you have a lot of money, because then it will be the cash in my hands, in my belt, in wherever, in my money bag or in my account. And therefore it would make sense because I have it and I don't have the plan. Today, when you have all this experience, whether you make 100 million or $100 billion or whatever it is in billions of dollars, the moment you understand why you are making the money and you have a plan of where it needs to go, you never have enough money, because it is about what you're doing. One thing, you just must be satisfied with what you have. As long as you have money for your food and you can be able to drive or get to work, that, first of all, is minimum that you must have.
But if you
anything
have money,
beyond that, yes.
If you have money beyond that, there's a problem somewhere.
It should never enter into your house. Into your house, meaning into your mind. Because you know that you are in this business of being a blessing to your people. And therefore, you have this business that is waiting today. Why do we have the Green Africa Economic Zones? Because I still have space that I want to put money there whenever I have it. Why do we have the Green Institute of Pragmatic Knowledge? It's because I want as many people to learn. Why do we have more than 10, 14, 18 different companies in the Green Africa Group? Because each institution is growing at different levels. There is what is giving and feeding the other and financing
the other. No idle money. No,
never.
I have 100 million. I'm seeing it.
And this applies, is a principle that applies whether you are doing one single business that is worth 10,000 or you are doing 100 billion business, because there is what you have planned to be able to do, and therefore you never have money that you can think about.
What about the emergency fund?
That must be there as a principle, that you must have a certain percentage and a good percentage that you can access in cash whenever you can be able to access. Mm-hmm. But being there and that you have been able to do that means that it is stuck at that level. And as you increase, that kitty increases, because you already know that minimum of 30% of my wealth must be in cash, and you must be able to have it accessible, liquid, not just having properties, because you will have a big problem of what you will need to have in future. And therefore there are principles that are there, tools that you must be able to learn, and they're there in the Green Africa, in the Green for Life book, and many other training institutions that you must have. These are things that must be there. And therefore it means that you must liquid some of the items to be able to put in this, whether in stocks, whether in different areas that you must be able to apply. But the essential thing is having the numbers right, is employing what is depending on what you want to achieve, the goals, and you know where to put your money, when, how, and when to shift, because you want to increase your 30% if you have to do that at different levels, so that you can be able to grow. And therefore, you don't have idle money, because why would it be idle? And the Bible says that a clever man and a person who is of usefulness in life leaves wealth to their children and children's children, up to third or fourth or 10th generation. Why would, if a situation that you have been in life enables you to support your family, you better do it in a way that they would do that. But you must have a structure. You must have a structure. Your business should not die with you. And that does not happen. It should happen out of planning, good planning, how you are able to do that. And people wait until they have money, they can do that. Do it even when you don't have the money, so that when it comes, it is well aligned in a way that you can be able to apply it in the best way possible. You don't go squandering money or using the best that you can in terms of items that you would have done without, so that you can use that money and invest in other ways and be able to use what people imagine that you are using to show off as a matter of protecting yourself, because you are spending the money in the right way possible. So these are principles that one should be able to have, and therefore numbers makes the difference.
You mentioned, thank you for that. You mentioned your friend David Langat, DL, and people know him now. He's a big name. And your story with him starts in very, very interesting times, way uko kitambo. But there's something about him. He also becomes a millionaire at a very young age, by age 30. looking at him, I believe your stories merge at some point, but there's a difference between him and you at a certain age, right? What do you think what do you think he did differently that you did not do, or someone else would learn at that age?
Quite a number of things. And I mentioned not only David Langat, my brother, I also mentioned someone like C.K. Joshua, the chairperson and founder of Jamii Telcom. I mentioned Mutula Kilonzo. I mentioned people like SMW Murji, people who have done quite a lot, the owner of Sopa Lodges, Lewanas, and all those people that I have used as examples in the book. And David Langat does something extraordinary. He used to sell charcoal. He used to sell fridges from containers and ships in the ships in Mombasa. He grew from that. He bought a taxi. He grew from that. He did something else. He grew into doing taxi business. He starts buying land, one land after the other. A story that is untold. I'm lucky and I thank God for the opportunity, because he hasn't written a book. If you want to know how he made his money, you will find it there. He will be given all sorts of names, similar to C.K. Joshua, similar to SMW Murji, and Mutula Kilonzo Senior, and various other people. Is to bring out life, that there are processes that you must be able to go through for you to be able to get to where you are. What would I do different? I would apply, like, for David, you would see situations that took him from one level to another. He's the biggest risk taker that I can imagine in life. The risks he takes sometimes are scary. And then he has something that I don't have. He has no attachment on anything that he owns. He buys a house, he decorates it, he makes it better. He buys it for about 15-20 million. He renovates it and he sells it for 100 million. He takes the money into a different property that he buys for I think 200 or 300 million. Today the property is worth billions. Risk. He has a home that he buys for 10 million, he renovates, he stays in it. Someone comes in and says that he wants the money, the property, and together with his family, he tells the family to leave. He has sold the property. I wouldn't do that today.
Is that what you mean by risk taker? Because that's a very strong statement.
Yes.
He takes the kind of risks that you would never take.
Yes, that at that time, I would not take. There are things that I keep talking about. This is my own. This is my car. Like I have my cars with 111 on them because of the meaning that they are. You touch that car, you are touching my heart. And but for him, I have learned something extraordinary. There is no attachment. He would buy and sell anything when the opportunity comes. And that is a secret in business many people lose, because there are many opportunities that I have lost in that manner that I remember and say, ningekubali hiyo wakati, that was a safe deal that I would have done that. And many people lose it in life because of attachment, too much attachment. Oh, this house, I was given by my mother. And the opportunity is here, looking at you in the best way possible that you could sell and reinvest that thing into something else. So these are things that I have learned from David and many other people on how you can deal with things, and Joshua is the opposite in terms of being careful on the steps that you can be able to do, and being self-independent in what you do things. The book brings out the lifestyles of people and the way that they would deal with the things. Mutula Kilonzo Senior was totally different. There is no book that has been written about Mutula Kilonzo than this book. Things that drove him, how he started his day, the decisions that he made in this country. A legal person who says that his services are going to be 1 million shillings, and lawyer starts with 10,000 shillings is okay. And he started with 1 million shillings. If you want to see him, then you pay 1 million shillings and that kind of a level. Yet you're doing still the same business a lawyer would do. It's about positioning and what you do in life. So All these are life things that we need and principles that we need to apply. So for David, I learned risk-taking. Even today, he can do anything. He can take leaps of activities and properties like you would never imagine. I know of a property that he bought for 40 million, and in about 6 months or thereabout, he sold it for 340 million. And he took a loan property for that level and skipped to other level in terms of financing. He gets 200 million from one institution, doubles it up with $1 billion shillings and gets up there. He gets into some little problems that look like problems, but by the time he finishes that problem, he pushes himself up into a different level. You may say anything about him, but there are things that he has done in life that are mind-boggling. And he's a business person in the best way possible.
Interesting. So now I bring him up because I took note of him for two particular reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, you are among the first people to start importing cars into Kenya from Japan. Yeah. And your cars get stopped, get grounded. Yes. And he offers, you get a call that and this is wakati uko chini, you're thinking, you get an offer to that he can help you clear the cars, and you believe this would actually get you unstuck. Okay? So when you travel to Mombasa with all the money, and you spend all the money in transport actually, you find that he cannot help. And for most people, it will be disappointing that to a great extent you would assume he has some sort of links pale kwa port, ama unaweza sema, oh, niaje, did you do enough? But it does not make sense and it doesn't help. But then again, you come back again deeper into the hole, and then the same David Langat introduces you to the next level of money. That is my assessment. As in unlocking a level of money even the import-export business had not given you. And you start saving up for your first house. I believe this is the other place the idea of social capital comes in. And there's a thing also people say that relationships are more important than money. What is your experience with this concept here? Relationships are more important than money.
Social capital.
Yes.
And the fact that you are self-driven and you know where you are going, and that all you need is a hand to hold you. Everyone, wherever they are, including you, your hand was held up by someone. 100%. This is something that we never talk about. And in the book, I expose the people who did that to me. You have hope in individuals, but you find that the individuals will not give you what you are looking for. It ends up in you doing what you needed to do, but with their hand of support, it takes the difference and makes the difference. So David, at this time, I tried to solve a problem in a way that could not work. And we meet at home when I was at my lowest. I remember I had been auctioned and there was nothing left in the home, including our children being left without a cooking gas because the auctioneers took that money, because I was careless on following up the matter, not because I had done something wrong. So first of all is about how serious we deal with issues. And even the cars that I bought and paid for 12 cars and borrowed that money from Bank of Baroda to go and import those cars. The bank did not check or even help me to check whether those cars existed. I bought cars that had been exported to Kenya from Japan to be sold to one David Anunda, a rally driver, and the cars were not paid for. They were said to be in Mombasa. I found this story with the person who was selling this to me. His name was Chandra Kumar, and he told me the cars are in Mombasa and these are the yellow certificates that I did this. I come to Kenya, I ask for the support through my friend's father, and I get Bank of Baroda to give me money, and I get the money to pay for the bank, to wire the bank in Japan. I find that the cars, after paying for the cars, 8 of the 12 cars have been auctioned. The bank didn't support me to check whether the money was there. They followed just the blind trust of the official who supported me in this process. And I ended up failing in this process. I did not have a legal head to guide me on this process. Again, another most important principle of business, that you must have a proper business, legal backing of a business, proper. Risk-taking that is very careful, beyond that of a bank. Insurance of all these processes so that you can succeed. So I try to solve this. I am now left with 4 cars only at the port. I can't make money. I have already lost money. I have money to pay to the bank. I end up in trouble in all this. I had previously gotten into a business where I lost money because I trusted someone who went to squander the money in a different country, and I lose all that. I am now on the ground having been auctioned, and I do not have any money left. And I find David here, and all that David did was, he told me one thing: come to Mombasa. I try and see what I can do. And what does he do? He introduces me, just an introduction, the power of introduction. But the character must be right. The TLR we talked about, that you have a process that can be trusted, that one can be able to say, this is what you need to have. He introduces me to the family of Merali, not the Naushad Merali, is a father Merali to that, but this is the family of Holbert, Sugar Rice, Hyderi P, and he says that this guy can sell fertilizer. I sold fertilizer, Kingori, like a mad person. I would leave Mombasa with 1 car, KAH, I don't remember the number, it's a station wagon and Toyota, and I would leave Nairobi, go to Eldoret, get to every sugar company that there was in this country at that time. I start with Nzoia Outgrowers, I turn back, I go to West Kenya Sugar Company, I turn around again, go to Nzoia Sugar Company and Sugar Outgrowers Company, I go to a company that was started called Busia Outgrowers Company, I come back to Kisumu, I go to Miwani Sugar Factory, I go to Muhoroni Sugar Factory, I go to Miwani, Muhoroni, I go to Chemelil Sugar Company, one after the other, go back to Soin Sugar Company, get back to a place called Kisii, and I go all the way to Sony Sugar Company, come back to the city, and I am ready to supply urea fertilizer to all this company. I chased out most of the companies out there out of my passion. I made money that made me buy a house in Donholm. My first house that I bought for 3 million shillings, 3.2 million shillings. Actually, I think I paid 2.5 and then added all the expenses to do that. There is a story behind everything, but it is the hard work. If it is not David who introduced me to the Meralis, to introduce me to do the fertilizer business, which ended up growing to sell pigeon peas and export, supplying sugar to I had a company that's called Kwamoyo Sugar, where I used to supply to wholesalers, all these things. I started carrying a lot of money in my bag. I even had a government security because of the cash that I was taking, because of selling pigeon peas, to take outside. Where did all this take us to? Is the TLR application. That I did what I needed to do, but there needed to be a David who takes you to a company to introduce, to say, this is a guy worth of your trust. Many people lose it there.
And Sasa, that's why I started by saying you have a special relationship with disappointment. You have a special relationship with rejection.
Yes.
I'll explain. You go to Mombasa, you are disappointed because all your hope is in these cars will save me.
Yes.
Kumbe, it is not the cars.
Yes.
The person now introduces you to the next level.
Yes.
And it's not a walk in the park. Unajua ukisema you went there. Your story of how you learned your first how you walk in. Get the book, bana. We are just scratching the surface. The story of how you approach, and please share with people the lesson here. Salesman, not the place for confidence in selling.
Yes.
The way you umepewa kandarasi, urea 40%.
Yes.
46%
46% nitrogen.
Yes.
Yes.
You're going to sell that. You're going into a market that people already are. Remember, and this ties to the story you gave us of the snake problem solver.
Yes.
The managing director anakuambia they already have a supplier.
Yes.
Please just share the lesson, how you enter into that market.
You see, you must treat life as a process. Is like security business. There is no security company that is given an outright opportunity to deal with security of a particular building. You have to kick them out.
Already there is security.
Already. So back to the water problem. Everybody is taking water, and yet you're in water business. How do you dislodge them? You must have a dislodge opportunity or strategy that is going to take people out. My mission was simple. We are bringing in fertilizer, but we are not selling. And what we are finding is that people want money beforehand, and this is not palatable. This is not a business principle we can deal with. Can you sell? And I say, okay, I will do this. So how much do I make?
So this is the family.
Yes.
The Merali family.
Yes.
Wanakuambia they are importing fertilizer.
Yes. And we want to sell
yes.
out there.
Yes.
How can we sell it? Can you prove? There is no free money. So I take all this, I say, okay, my first challenge is, remember, I'm coming from a point where I've been auctioned kila kitu. Remember, this is the same guy who had made money and gone all over the world. And I'm down here, flat kabisa. Hakuna kitu imebaki. Yet you have to prove yourself. Kwanza ujiamini. Useme mimi ni yule msee. And there is nothing that is going to keep me away from doing what I have to do. These people, my relationship with them must start with making the sales so that I can reach the money. And I only say my biggest problem is my wife, Susan.
Yes.
I need a Susan's account that will keep her with money and my children. They say, okay, give us her account. We are going to be sending 100,000 shillings every single month without fail. You keep trying. For you, you will only make a certain money per bag. And we agreed on a 50 bob per bag to be able to do this. Man, I went like a crazy person. Every business wants you, first of all, to negotiate. Safe keep your family. Don't expose your family to trouble. Many people lose this point and start getting into other relationships that dislodge the whole self and the entire family.
Cover your bases.
Cover your base. The next thing I asked for was a car. And I was given a vehicle and a brown station wagon. This is your car. The rest was my God. And thank God at this time I had become a Christian, a devoted Christian, a born again, and I had one business to make sure that life. So spirituality, there needs to be a basis that anchors you. And you must be able to get from that point to the next level. So the next thing is to map out, what is it that I must be able to do? Identify the route that I'm going to do. The next thing is, who am I going to get? These people want to make some money. These people they have different motivations. How do you deal with this? So for me, for the outgrower companies, wherever I went, is to make the price lower and show a green angle out of the increased yield of the sugar cane so that you can be able to make money and get the outgrower farms bigger. I forgot to mention Mumias because that would always be my third day before I get into the next city. And therefore, I mapped out all that. Every business wants you to map out where you want to go, how you want to go, who you are going to approach, the strategy that has been used. If the motivation was under the table money, you must get out of that in a way that is nowhere close that. So that the value is driven by a massive approach of people who want to get better in one way or another, as opposed to an individualistic kind of an approach. So I did all that in a manner that would sell any specific institution. So I start with the people below, make sure that the next level is the procurement officer. Then after this, I get to know who are the board of directors and what is their motivation, and how would my idea make them better and sit more on that position that they are in. And then I apply both in a way that is so soft, in a way that would get me where I want to go. Make sure that my supply has got my trust. So when I say load 200 or 50 trucks or 20 trucks to go to a specific place, that is where it would get me to. And therefore, you align everything. Many people basically die off because they don't have an end-to-end strategy and a trust level that is higher than every other thing that is needed, discipline that is lacking in a manner that would be able to create trust. Because you can imagine when you betray trust, it's the worst pain, whether at personal level, at business, or any other. And if you make a mistake, you learn from it and get it better from something else. So that is the order that I used. And I realized that David, all he needed was to hold my hand, take me to where he would have wanted me to be. I would see him. He had just done his election. He lost all the money, all. And he woke up into a situation, an election that he had won then in a place called Tinderet constituency. And he is here now. We are actually fighting to get back to somewhere else. In 2002, I tried what I wouldn't again in Kitui Central, and I failed badly. And I get back to where I would have gotten myself into. And here I am trying to get better things so that we can be able, things that you can only read and understand when you get the book, whether in its audio form or in e-book form or the hard book like you have. So these are things that we must be able to start understanding. You need someone to hold your hand. But what is in your heart that is taking you to the next level? Who are you working towards to achieve, so that you balance issues to be able to get to a level that would get you to the next level? Because this world, by the way, one thing I've realized, you must be very careful if in life the people that surround you are only telling you the good things, that you are better than everybody else. Life is not about that. I was taught something by my father. I value pens, and I can buy a pen for anything in this world. Why? Because he told me when I was leaving my secondary school, my primary school, going to high school, and he told me, mwana ngwekwe cheta kalamu. Kalamu ka langi unakeka mbesa mbingi ata. Never they. My son, I have hope in you like a pen. However expensive a pen is, without ink is useless. I choose in my life, Kingori, whether it is the president, whether it is a street person that I have found, I want to be that ink that everyone expects of me. My life is about adding value to people for God's glory. Even things that I have written in the book, confessions of things that people did for me and to me, they are confessions meant to make us better, not to shame anybody, but to make us better. Because there is a reason why we are forced to do things, sometimes not because we intend to do them, but because there is pressure from a different person, because they want to achieve something through us. And we imagine that it is Kingori who has messed me up, but in true sense, it is not Kingori. It is other people who have interests that want to push things through Kingori just because they want to appear on this show. Life should be, if you want to succeed, when you add value to one another, something else happens. Those who refresh others, they shall themselves be refreshed. So we must live a life worth of refreshing one another every day of our lives.
Thank you very much. And acha niwaambie, this is the smallest big book by a Kenyan author you'll ever lay your hands on. However lazy you are, whatever you're going through in life and whatever state uko kwa life, ikue top ama ikue down, hata if you read just 5 pages of this book every day, it will change your life. Link tumekuwekea kwa description hapa, you will get it directly from the Nuria store. It's an easy read and I put my name to it. Chukua, soma, angalia, you'll come back to me and you'll come back with the same feedback. This is a summary of most of the content we've shared on this episode, and it's a very well done story. Nani unasikia ni kama unapiga story na Dr. Isaac mwenyewe as he goes through this. Na vile imeandikwa, the professionals that you teamed up with to put this together, God bless them. Now, as we come to a close, I'll make a very interesting confession. I was with you in the room that you get caught. You get caught by Kinjo and your Susan, who later becomes your wife. And you had taken me through this journey, and I was with you kwa hii story yote. Okay? And then now, in a split decision, mimi niliangalia, you described Monica separately. You described Kinjo. At this time, she is in the car hire business. In fact, your girlfriend, that's a big deal. In the 90s, your girlfriend comes to your house, na gari yake. She has come to pick you. And then you have another girlfriend in the house. Here's where I say I like hypothesis, probabilistic outcomes. And now I was interacting with a physics concept, parallel universe. Okay? That we are here now, but your future also exists in a way that your life would have turned out a certain way if you had gotten into that car and left with Kinjo. I'll explain. Your decision, or is it Kinjo's refusal to listen to the audacity that ulikuwa unampea, or her non-insistence to remain there, or your decision to stay put and eventually marry Susan, plays a very big role in your life, because it is through your wife, who never left in your lowest moments, who is your pillar of strength. In the choice between 3 women, let me talk about in this particular chapter, between 3, I'm sorry to say, it does not end the same with the other 2. Things may have worked out differently in other situations, but let me talk about the context that I read. If you had not married your wife, I can dare say there is no way you get to achieve the level of success you have achieved today, because of one simple example. The role that a friend like David Lagat plays in your life, it's because the through pass comes from your wife, Susan, right? And that sets off a chain of events that leads to you being you today, because it could have ended in many different ways. Mtu akisoma kitabu ata understand what I mean. So, tukifunga, what's in it for a man in the person he chooses to marry?
The person you choose as your life partner makes the entire difference in your life. Life presents you with friends. Life presents you with colleagues. Life presents you with opportunists. Life presents you with people who just have fun with you. And it is good. It is important to have a partner that it is not just sex that you enjoy together, that it is not just having fun together, that it is not just the beauty or the handsomeness that you talk about, but how you respond to issues in life. You really must be able, actually, you get anchored the moment that you become sober enough to draw a line. And drawing a line is not necessarily creating enmity. Drawing a line means having proper discipline, making sure that you are efficient, making sure that you are responsible. How and when do you draw a line? The moment some of the tests that you must be able to deal with, without even mentioning that this is your vision, is to just test. A person who never cares to discuss much about your life and what you want to be in 5 years, what you want to be as a target in another 10 years, who are your best models in life and why, that you find that you're only talking about how best you are good in bed or dealing with things that do not add value to you in life. That is the moment, and you must keep insisting. Today I was busy doing this and this. I've been working on my strategy. And if the subject is not picked or followed up at a later stage, you must stop to think twice. What is it that if all what you're talking about is fun over the weekend and you're not talking about your parents or you are not talking about your future kids, something is amiss. In life, what has made my difference? Not because of anything or people that I got to know or anything, is just the receptive approach to the way that I am dealing with things. I deal with very complex issues. Because of my principles, I'm likely to attract very many enemies because people would come to me and they want to discuss a specific issue and use me and end it there. I make friends for life. I am not in your program because you have a good process. You have become my life partner because you have given me your all. Your business becomes my business. And this leads to a situation where in life that if you find people who are not interested with what you do, then you have a problem. So your life partner equals to something that will lead to something extraordinary. Business partners must be not because they bring in money to your business, because it will go in a few weeks, a few years. When you are ready to move to the next level, they withdraw or they tell you that you're not in the same vision. So why start the relationship in the first time? You need just to keep your vision. The right people will follow you. It is not you to follow people. It is them to follow what you, and you'll find that people are aligned to you. So life partner equals to success in life. And this is something very, very serious and must be taken to different levels. I wish one day I can have the opportunity to discuss what in practical sense has made me who I am because of my wife. And that there is no regret. Neither does it mean enmity when you draw a line that this is family and family business, and that is why I am who I am, and that my principles are this. And that makes the difference.
Okay. Yeah. Wadau, the dosage, your life is in writing. The laziest readers, kwa sababu I understand, my friend Bule from Nuria told me that our readership as a country kidogo iko pale chini. So whatever advice you would ever wish to ask someone in this world, if you are the laziest reader, if you were to read just one chapter, a whole week ya hii kitabu, it will take you exactly 1 year and 4 weeks. 1 year, 1 month. Ukisoma tu chapter moja.
Umeipeleka mbali.
Ni 56 chapters.
Yes, but the good thing is that there is now an audio book that has been very well voiced.
Yes.
By a better voice than mine. That you would be able to read and follow whenever you are driving. Ukiwa kwa masherehe mnaenda mkirarua chapter moja kitambo mfike, you have already done 2 or 3 or 5 chapters, and you are able to go to different levels in terms of knowledge. So you have it in ebook, you have it in audio, and you have it also in the physical book, which is
Yes.
sustainable book. So it's easy to read. I have had people, and let me tell you, there's something that's very interesting.
Yes.
One day, actually last week, a friend told me I was ready to leave my husband. The person is a top professional in this country. And she says that I read your book in a record 3 days. And she was through. She read the book in 3 days.
As a fast reader.
Yes.
Yes.
And she says that she went back to the husband and said, on the account of Dr. Kalua's Green book, I forgive you. I forgive you. Today they are happily married because they read the book, because they understood each other. That forgiveness takes you to the next level. Some people have so much pain in themselves. Some people have divorced because of very tiny little things that they would have sorted. Some businesses are failing to succeed just because you did not do some little, very tiny, flimsy considerations that meant everything at the time that you needed to do. So life is as such.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Audiobook, ebook,
yes.
But mimi nasema to the laziest.
Yes.
1 chapter a day.
A day.
1 year. It will change your life.
That's true.
However low you think uko, unaona rock bottom, enda uone how to wiggle out of rock bottom, and the ideas to discuss in terms of just scratching the surface in terms of problem solving. Get yourself the Green for Life book. Doc, asante sana for making time for us.
Thank
for
you.
Driving all the way from Kitui. Tuna appreciate sana.
It's called Texas City.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Asante.
Aye.
Deeply appreciate. May God bless this institution.
Thank you, sir.
And may you grow to be the best that the world has never seen.
Amen.
Just because you've been committed and
Yes.
you have a committed team. I wish you success and you have my blessings.
Amen.
Thank you.
Doc.
Thank
Asante.
you. Pleasure. Blessed to have you. Thank you.
Umemaliza.
Asante.